If I were to go back to being 18 and start a wholesaling today, this is what I do step by step. Without any more delay, let's just jump into it. So, God, I wish I could go back to being 18. Yes and no with today's education. But if you're smart enough to be 18, 19, or even younger than that, and you have a high interest in wholesaling, you're in the right place. The first thing I'm always going to tell you to do is, number one, start off at freewholesaling.com. Why? Number one, it's the most thorough course you can go from head to toe and get started. And honestly, if you're rolling from your high school curriculum or even college, whatever it is the perfect training center. And the first thing I'm going to have to teach you, just pretend I'm 18. I don't look 18, but you have to figure out how to learn the process of entrepreneurship. So specifically wholesaling. So most of your schooling and everything you've done to this point is you study theory, you study ancient theory, and then you take a test on it. And then that's pretty much it. And you try to build on that theory to do more advanced theories. But the reality is you never put it into practicality. You never practice what your teacher preaches. You just pass the test. And I don't know about you, but when I did this, I would probably wait till the last minute, or let's be honest, cheat, and you get a grade. And based on that grade, if it was on the curve, it was straightforward, you would, yay, I got an A or whatever, or I got an F, I got to do it again. And that's it. But the problem is you never really applied it after that. And I don't know about you, but most of the stuff I learned in school is pretty much in one ear and out the other than some of my grade school, which is basic vocabulary, math, and some sciences. High school to college was pretty much a blur to me because I felt like a lot of the stuff was irrelevant. So if you think like I do, got an ADHD brain, is I want to learn stuff that I can actually apply in the world and use it so I can make my life better, everyone associated around me better, and wholesaling is no different. So start at freewholesaling.com. Remember, we got to get your first deal, and then we're going to show you how to get to $100,000. So that is the first step. And honestly, you piecemeal it as you go. So we start with marketing first. Why? Because marketing is the most important thing you have to learn in wholesaling. If you don't become a master marketer, the rest is never going to make sense to you. And how do you do it? Yes, I'm going to give you the theory, but then I'm going to show you the proof of the concept, and then I'm going to make you go out and apply it. And here's the secret. You're going to fail. You're probably going to fail miserably. This is how actually business works. No one's a superstar. No one hits it right out of the gate. You have to learn. You have to learn to get uncomfortable, stay in uncomfortable, and then learn what you didn't learn while you're in uncomfortable. And then you kind of come back to you're comfortable, you study it more, and then you apply what you've learned and you get better. That's how life works. That is your test. There's not one big master test you pass or fail. That is in the upper echelons of business when you go after very large deals. And unless you get the basics and the fundamentals of wholesaling down, you don't have to worry about that part. So if I was 18, I would start all over. So just checking comments here, co-violations. Okay. So the next part is, now that we know where to go and we know how we kind of look at schooling on it, is we have to think about this. Most of you in that transitions where you're either finishing high school and you're thinking about college. This isn't even controversial because I have 2 kids that went through college. It's the truth. I questioned college back in the late 80s, early 90s. I thought back then it was the acceptable format to get the best job possible. So I used to say, like, what if I don't want a job? And my parents used to look at me like, what are you, nuts? And I was on to something, I just didn't know how to do it. And the reality is, I probably should have never gone to college. But I was going to college to get a good job. So it was a different time, different day. So ask yourself now, if you're considering going to college, especially for business, specifically for wholesaling, why on earth would you go to college? They don't teach one class. There is no structure around it. There's nothing about guerrilla marketing. If you are truly all in anything in real estate, specifically wholesaling, I'm going to give you a tip here. Skip college. You are going to get schooling more hands-on than you're ever going to get in college because you are going to learn basically while you're training. See, in college makes you wait 4 or 6 years to get the end result. And most people wind up being salespeople anyways. So outside of the professions that require, which is going to be legal, medical, engineering. I don't know what else that you guys put in the comment on that. I just don't see what you'd even go to the college for. The reality is, look at freewholesaling.com as a trade school. And here's the best part. It is a trade school that will make you filthy rich. Now, it's not an overnight get rich scheme. I never said it was, nor did Zach. But you've got to understand it is the trade school for wholesaling. Freewholesaling.com, honestly, is the only one I've ever found. And you all know how our tuition works. I make it super, super simple for everybody involved. If you hit me up 15 years ago, I probably would have fought you on this. But the reality is I just don't see the benefit. And if you look in 2024 with all the crap going on with colleges, ridiculous how tuition exceeds inflation every year is just beyond me. I don't know how that can be. And then the guaranteeing of college loans and people talking about forgiving them. I just don't know why you would mess around with a college. In fact, college is going to limit your income severely. End of story. You've got to understand that. So the first thing I would do, and you know what, here's the reality on this, while we're on this comment, the only reason most of you are going to go to college is because your parent says, you need to go to college. I would sit down and have an honest conversation with your parents. Now, me being a parent, I can speak from this. The reality is they want you to be safe. They want you to be happy, and they don't want you getting hurt in life. And although that's how parents think, trust me, I have a boy and a girl. They're grown adults now. But the reality is you need them to go out and experience life. You need to let them know how it works. And the more you try to shield them and protect them, guys, a lot of people going into college right now, you're just delaying the inevitable. In fact, more people are shielding their children while they're in college. How? They pay for it. They pay for a lifestyle that honestly is unhealthy when you go out drinking and partying and people are taking Adderall to stay up for tests. I just don't know how that makes you a better person. And I will tell you this. I remember family members telling my son that college are the best years of your life. And I told my son, I go, that's BS. Don't ever listen to that. If the best years of your life are in college, when you're dead broke, you own no assets, and you have very little skill sets other than going out partying, listen, was it a good time? Yeah, but the reality is those who can sacrifice and endure now, every year gets better pretty much up till the day you die. So why would you cap yourself at college? You don't have a lot of skill sets. You definitely don't have a lot of assets, money. You hopefully have your health, but if you're drinking, doing a lot of drugs, that's going to go down quickly. In fact, most people in their college years is when they gain most of their weight and when they set the horrible habits of not exercising or doing anything. So I would do the complete opposite. I would skip college. I would watch what I eat, and I would work out and go David Goggins and push myself to the limit. I don't care if you're a guy or a gal. God knows you people have the physique and the energy at that age. You need to start festering it so when you get in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you can outperform the young buds coming up. Don't believe me? It's the truth. I did it the complete opposite way, so I'm not a hypocrite. I'm just saying I had no guidance and no leadership. So if you understand that, mostly the people that influence you to go to college are your parents. And are you there just to make your parents happy, just to disappoint you and make yourself miserable? And I get it. Like if you don't go to college, you might not be financially supported, but like you're 18. How long do you expect your parents to truly support you? Please don't be a basement kid. And a basement kid is someone who lives in the basement and plans to be there until they're in their 40s from their parents. So you've got to understand that the sooner you accept this mantra, the better off you're going to be as a human being. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. And most of you get bribed into going to college because you're on your parents' credit card, your meals are taken care of, your housing's taken care of. So let me ask you, what do you think 4 years of college would cost you in wholesaling? I can tell you exactly what it cost you. Your first year, maybe you make 30, 40 grand if you don't know what you're doing. But a lot of people look towards the money, but your education was all built in there because you were doing things, you weren't doing it great, and you were making lots of mistakes. Year two, maybe you make 80 grand. So maybe you got 110 grand total. Well, year three, you make 250. Year four, you make over 400,000. So going to college can literally cost you $500,000 in 4 to 6 years of your life. So when people come out of college, most of the time they're coming out and they're being interns or their last year in college, and then they're all going out and getting a sales job. So just skip that process. If you are committed to wholesaling or any part of real estate, there's no way the colleges can keep up with today's changing environment, especially with AI. I'm sorry, I sat through a couple of real estate courses in college and I thought they were a joke back in the 80s. So I know there's like University of Florida has a program for entrepreneurship, but it's kind of an oxymoron thinking a college can teach you about entrepreneurship. So skip it. You guys are only going to make your parents happy because you think you're going to delay the inevitable. Eventually you want to get on your own. The sooner you accept that, the better off you're going to be. I now see more kids living with their parents in their late 20s, 30s, and even 40s than I've ever seen before. I come from a generation, I wanted to get out since I was 16, and we need to go back to doing that. How do you do that? You need to learn your own skill, your own craft. If you chose wholesaling, college will get you nowhere. In fact, it's probably going to brainwash you to think you should never do that. So skip it. Now, here's the next part. It's going to sound like an oxymoron. Live on a college dorm budget. So if you decide to skip college, all your friends are going over to Costa Rica and Cabo and all these spring break and all this fun places. It doesn't mean you can't go on a trip, but you're going to have to make serious sacrifices because number one, a lot of you are going to get cut off by your parents. End of story. So you're going to have to plan for that. So you're going to have to get an apartment with a lot of roommates. It's just the truth. And you're going to have to go on what I call like the ramen noodles diet. So you cannot, I see so many kids in their teens, late teens and their early 20s trying to show them the balling method. We're going to go over that. The reality is live on the college dorm budget. Pretend your parents aren't paying for anything, which is how most of you are going to be. Embrace it now, because if you can live in that short mindset and learn how to squeeze every penny while you're trying to become a multimillionaire, if you learn the frugal habits and you learn the massive income habits, you won't have that problem for long. In fact, in 2 years, you'll be able to fix it. But here's the reality. Everyone that says, you have an expense problem, most of you have a major income problem. But in the beginning, when you have very little income and you don't have any money, you're going to have to plan stuff out. Tuna cans, ramen noodles, tons of rice, chicken, beef, stuff like that. Learn how to eat. You guys can study it all on YouTube for free, Facebook, whatever you want to look it up, and learn how protein is your friend. And by the way, you don't have to eat 3 meals a day. That's all a myth. That's all for the food industry. People used to go days without eating. That was the norm of human beings. But here's my recommendation. Skip breakfast, lean lunch, and then kind of eat whatever you want for dinner within reason. But you're going to have to do this on a budget. Because remember, if you don't want to ultimately have freedom, you're going to have to make some sort of sacrifices. End of story. So a lot of you are going to be working maybe some part-time jobs and stuff while you do this until you get the income from wholesaling. So you can't be going out to dinner. This Uber Eats, guys, you need to delete this app. I do not get that one. If you're broke, why are you paying someone $10 or $12 to deliver your food? And let's face it, most of the food you're getting on delivery, it's super expensive delivery fees, and it's way too many calories of the wrong types of substance put in your body. Bottom line, while all your friends are going to college, partying, drinking, doing drugs, do whatever they do, you are going to live on a very simplistic budget, and you are going to learn how to make money. And once you learn how to make money, you're going to learn how to live off 20% of it in the long run. Because if you can learn in the beginning how to live off of that, when you make $500,000-$600,000, it's so, you're going to go, how am I going to spend like $150,000, whatever it is? Because what you do now is what you're going to do later. You don't just instantly become rich and go, okay, now I know how to manage money. You have to learn how you treat $1,000 is exactly how you treat $100,000 and how you're going to treat $1 million. You have to prioritize what's important to you. So I should have called it the ramen noodle one, but I feel like it was a commercial on it. So you're going to have to dedicate 2 years of your life to grinding and wholesale. That is your on-the-job training 2 years. Now, you might be able to master it in a year and a half, but on average, it's around 2 years. After 2 years, you should easily be able to be on your own with no support of anyone else, as long as you don't go down the path of trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to look ultra rich. Honestly, I want you to look poor. Why? Because when you go to a friend's house or you go to family members, if they want to give you like extra meals, they want to take you out to dinner or something like that, that's when you take the freebies. But if you're driving around in a baller car and telling everyone how rich you are, like number one, humble yourself, lose your ego. It's not going to work in the beginning. You have to get to the truth as soon as possible to learn how to do wholesaling. So I'm starting with high level and I'll get granular on this. Next one, and you're going to have to learn this quickly. You're going to get a lot of crap for not going to college. From your parents, from your friends, all the people who went to school. Boo-hoo. Let them go get their jobs. Let them put a limit on their ceilings. Let them work on other people's dreams while you work on yours. Here's the truth. It is a massive sacrifice up front. It is easy to take a job. Why? There's no risk. They just pay you to show up and do a certain skill set. That's it. And some people do real well with it, but considering 73% of Americans are miserable in their job, I already know the outcome of this because I did it for 12 years. I was actually paid a decent amount of money back in the time, like $90,000 to $100,000 20 years ago was a significant amount of money. It's probably double what it is today, but I was still miserable. It's not always about money, guys. When you are controlled and directed and you have to do something you don't want to do, that's when you become miserable in life. So the number one rule is you have to stop caring what others think of you, because 95% of the population is never going to agree with what you do in wholesaling. They don't understand it. Why would you take that kind of risk? And it scares the hell out of them, and you make them question their own validity in what they're doing. So I've learned over the years that other people's thoughts of me is just a projection on how they feel about themselves. So I no longer take it personally anymore. I don't care. In fact, I don't explain wholesaling to anyone. I just let them know I do real estate, I buy properties, and that's what we do. I don't care if they think I'm a fix and flipper. I just don't care what anyone thinks. If you need a fancy title and you're going to be one of these people that generate one of these crazy titles, like I'm a real estate asset specialist recovery agent. No, just be humbled. I do not argue it. I recently went to a family function and somebody was asking me very point direct, kept coming at me. And I said, you know what? You're right. I just do real estate. That's it. Now, I never let them tell me I'm an agent because I'm not a real estate agent, but I do real estate. Why? Number one, they don't care. And number two, they're projecting their own insecurities onto yourself. And if you understand that, you actually feel bad for them. I just don't go back to them, because then I give fuel to the conversation and I just want to let it go. Why? It's a waste of my time. We're never going to agree on it, and I'm never going to be able to change their mind. So why waste my time on it? In fact, this little statement on the screen right here cost me a lot of energy, tormented me for years. I just don't care. And once you just don't care anymore, something crazy happens. Your energy level goes way up. And it's just once you stop caring about it, you suddenly have a lot more bandwidth to do what you actually want to do in life. So I don't give energy to people that try to distract me, because then you're chasing them and you're playing under the rules. Stop caring what others think. It just doesn't matter. Now, the next one's going to get interesting because a lot of you are really guilty of this and you know it. Social media. Hold on, let me fix that. I'm not going to. Oh, it's a misspelling. I can't reach the keyboard from here. So create over consume. Create, not crest, create. Sorry. What do I mean by that? It's simple. If you constantly scroll through social media and you're hooked on shorts like everybody else is, I want you to go in, especially if you have an iPhone and Android, and look at your screen time and start evaluating. So if you just spent 8 or 10 hours this week on screen time, how much of that was actually business? And if it's 0, you are a consumer. And the more you consume in social media, you are the product. You are you're doing exactly what they want you to do. So if you have to purge and shut off all social media to get rid of your addiction, see a counselor, whatever it is, I don't know what to tell you, but the easiest way to fix it is switch it over to creating content. I know what you're thinking. Well, listen, Rick, I'm 18. The hell do you want me to do? I'll give you an idea. When my son first started on his wholesaling journey, I made him at age 17 sit down and document, I think, his first 4 flips. He thought I was absolutely nuts for doing it. It didn't make sense. And I wish that when I was younger, I sat down and documented, because it was my path to get into wholesaling. You can document what scared you, what worked, and you can look back and reflect on it. It's like journaling. It's absolutely phenomenal. So if you do that, you get value from it. Now, do you think documenting your journey as a new 18-year-old, or it doesn't matter what age you are, but I remember I'm in my 18-year-old mindset, it's going to have tremendous value down the road for you. And it's going to help you with some credibility issues. It helps establish where your story is. And this is how you learn. So instead of consuming all this social media content and your screen time's out of control and you're not doing any type of business, if you start documenting your journey, you can kind of make that pivot. And what is this going to do for you? Number one, it's going to teach you how to learn wholesaling. Number two, you're going to attract people that want to go on the journey with you. And number three, you're going to learn how to network with like-minded individuals to do JV deals and do whatever you want. And then you're going to find the content that suits you, other people on the wholesaling journey. And that, and my friend, is the best way to do it. You guys are you are the product of social media. Now, don't knock me. I love you watching this. A long form video on YouTube ain't going to kill you. These are the ones you want. But like these shorts, the reason they do it is because people get hooked for hours looking at them. Heck, I've even caught myself. I'm not a hypocrite. So I extremely limit in what I want to do. When I'm sitting around just hanging out, that's fine. But social media has gone to another level, to the point where it's taking time from you being present with your loved ones, from you learning whatever skill you said, if it's wholesaling or whatever it is. It's just getting ridiculous. And I see it when I go to doctor's offices. I see it out in the public system. I see it at the schools all over the place. Guys, make a decision. Either you're going to be the product or you've got to create a product. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and be a coach. I'm very anti somebody just starting out wholesaling, being a coach. The best way to build credibility in this business is document your journey. Some of the best videos I've ever seen are people going through their journey. And just don't record the highs. You've got to record the times it didn't work out. You got doors slammed in your face. The more content you record, number one, you'll learn. It is great to refer back on it. And now you flip social media to your advantage. Instead of you being the product, you could actually create product. And then once you learn it, after a few years of the journey, then you can decide what you want to do. Guys, don't go be a coach in the first 2 or 3 years. It just, you don't have enough experience to do it. And we have too many coaches. I'm the first to admit it. It's terrible. In fact, I didn't create one piece of mentor or coaching until I got 10 years experience on my belt. And even then, I was hesitant to do it. And now we have the opposite problem. Everyone's confident after 1 or 2 deals, and it absolutely gets nuts, which is going to lead us to the next part, which you all are falling victim to, which we basically call the avoid the shiny object syndrome. Now, if you're 18 or you're really young, you are most susceptible to this. And I'm going to show you why. So as a young man, I was always super impressed when people had like really nice stuff. Why? Because we've been taught our entire life that someone's net worth is based on the nice things you see them walking around. In fact, the number one trick in the wholesaling business to say people are for real, the shiny object syndrome of social media, fancy cars. Here to tell you guys, rich people do not show off their cars. They are a minor asset that are depreciating. They are not impressive. It's okay to have a nice car, but it is ridiculous, in my opinion, for somebody in their early 20s to have such an expensive asset. Now, there's an exception to this rule. If your income producing assets destroy your toy assets, your toy liabilities, go for it. But you got to show proof. You got to show proof. And by the way, high-end cars, they're paid for with cash. Nobody finances high-end cars. It makes no sense. It's a depreciating asset. It's ridiculous. If you can't afford to buy it, don't do it. So if you've seen someone's profile, a car behind them, keep in mind, to me, cars are not that expensive. Even a high-end luxury car is $150,000 to $300,000. It is a depreciating asset. So here's the typical play of what you're going to get. You're going to be showed Lambos, McLarens, all this other stuff. The cost to house these cars, the cost to maintain these cars are ridiculous. And it's much more impressive if you owned a single family house, a duplex, or you owned a business that is producing tremendous amounts of cash, because those are assets that pay you. So if you start off buying assets that don't pay you in the beginning, they're depreciating, it's just, you're going to tumble. So fancy cars is number one. I even saw somebody put a Corvette on the other day, which is nothing more than a fancy Chevy Lumina, in my opinion. Guys, cars don't do it. Actually, cars are pretty inexpensive. If you want to go to like the ballers, obviously airplanes are a whole nother level, but like boats, millions of dollars for quality boats. Anybody can afford to buy like these cars. So that's why it's the number one trick used in wholesaling gurus. Look at the car I have. When you find these Amazon FBO guys in the Forex, they all do high-end cars, because it's easy to, like, they all get like these loans. And I'm not even talking about rental cars. Why would you do it if you can buy real estate that's an appreciating asset, that you get the depreciation, you get the write off the interest and do everything out, and it grows in value and it pays you in cash flow and it protects you against inflation. These cars, they're the complete opposite, and they expose you to inflation. One accident with them, you're in trouble. They're a fortune to insure. I just don't get it, man. Like, when you guys see the cars, I don't get it. I don't get the car thing. It is the number one red flag. The wealthiest people I've ever met, they've never, ever say, hey, Rick, look at my car. Look how good it is. No, they start with their portfolio. So if someone's flashing a car and you're thinking about buying a course from them or even working with them, go, listen, can I see your balance sheet? Do you mind? Like, to me, that is super sexy. That is awesome. That is a clear picture of who you're dealing with. Now, not everyone has it because most people don't do it because they don't really run a business. They run a coaching guru seminar or scam, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is a fancy car is a joke. I'm not saying you can't have nice cars. I have nice cars. I don't use it as a pitch. The car's not going to help you flip any type of real estate or doing wholesaling. I don't understand why anyone does it. Leads us to number 2, fancy real estate. But Rick, I thought real estate was great. Most people that flash the car, everyone will tell you they have a high ticket rental lease on it. I pay 10 grand. I pay 20 grand. Well, you're stupid then. It's just like, honestly, it's so easy to buy a piece of real estate. The only way you lease it is if you're just kind of on the run, because I know you don't have the cash flow in the long run to do it. So, okay, then if you have a lease, then let's just see. If you have a $30,000 a month lease, can I just see the lease? The easiest document to produce, and then we'll never produce it because they don't want to tell you the truth. In fact, you will see video over and over. If you start to see 20, 30 videos all in the same piece of real estate, I 100% guaranteed it is mostly leased. Once again, rich people don't brag about their real estate. End of story. It's a joke. Like, guys, do not get sucked into this because I used to think this was how I found out people are credible. And the reality is that's the number 2 way to fake you out. So they get a lease. By the way, they don't put it in their business name. They usually put it in their personal name. Ask them for a copy of the lease. You'll never get it because they tell you to spend 30 grand. They're probably spending 5 grand and they're hyperinflating it to impress upon you. So if I had a $50,000 lease, I just show it to you because it's impressive. If you can do 50,000 for what's that? That's $600K a year. No one's going to enter in that lease unless you can prove it up. And it's just the truth. Why do they lease? Because they're spending so much money on these depreciating assets. It's a joke. And so when you add up someone's net worth, anybody can look super rich in a short period. Leased house, overly fancy cars. And how do I know? It's the same repetitive videos over and over. I can take 10 wannabe gurus, mostly young kids, it's the same thing over. It's the fancy car. It's the high-end real estate they're leasing. And then my favorite, my last one, look at my watch. Now, here's the difference is people brag about watch collections. And by the way, I think watches are really cool, but there's a level you want to get to. If you're just starting out and you're 18, if your focus is buying on a high-end watch, you are not cut out for wholesaling. In fact, do not get a high-end watch until you have cleared the 5-year hurdle. I don't care how much money you're making. That early money you put to work should be in real estate, the stock market, or businesses that you can leverage so everything appreciates. Because that 20 grand you're going to spend on that watch, that 20 grand in 20 years will be worth $500,000. So you got to be an idiot to invest in a watch. Here's the other trick. Watches are counterfeited so bad, all from China. They're so bad, you can't tell online if it's for real. But I promise you in person, you can 100% authenticate these watches. And so if someone's going to show a watch, unless you see a receipt with it, 90% of them are fakes. It's so easy to fake the watches. And actually, I would never buy a watch without an expert. I'm a Rolex guy, but you don't ever see me, hey, look at my watch, look at my watch, look at my watch. And it's always like this. Every video is like this. Guys, fancy cars, fancy watches, fancy real estate are the biggest 3 giveaways that you're a fraud. End of story. It doesn't mean you can't get those things, but like at age 18, you've got to be kidding me. 18 to 25, you shouldn't be looking at any of that crap. Go drive the beat up Honda Accord, go be a roommate, and go get an Apple Watch. End of story. If you're doing anything others, these people are leading you on a path. It's so easy to spot a fraudster. They never prove it up. They never tell you where they're making their money. And every one of them have a high-end course. Hopefully I just saved some people from some serious change. Like you guys tell me in the comments, it's always the car, the watch, and the leased real estate. And it's over and over and over again. I'm just telling you, this is the biggest thing. And from the age like 17 to 26, you're a massive target. Why? Because you're like, oh my God, he's got a Lambo. He's got a $50,000 watch. The Lambo, you have no idea how they bought it. and they're using all their cash flow to pay for it. That's why they're leasing the property. And the watches, when you see 10 watches that age, maybe one or two of them are real, but for the most, they're all fakes. Why? Actually tell them to go out in public or just zoom in on the watch. There's certain telltale signs that you can only see up close. You can never tell on a camera. And I'm telling you guys, the watch fake is like out of control. I think watches are really cool, but like if I'm starting at 18, the last thing you want to do is put your precious money into an asset. You know, you're thinking a lot of the watches appreciate it. I agree. But if you put 20, 30, 40 grand in your business and into you, it'll give you a much higher return than that watch is ever going to give you. So, and then the last one is like, oh my God, they went to Europe. Guys, it does not cost a lot of money to go to Europe. In fact, you can travel the world. People live in hostels. They go all over the place. You have no idea what they're doing. So please do not put a lot of weight on the trips that they do. I'm at a fancy trip. I'm here. I'm there. I don't care. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So these are the 4 tricks that you're going to find. And let me just shine them up here. One, the car, the leased out real estate, the watches, and the fancy trips. They are telltale signs you're going to be distracted from wholesaling. And here's the last one that I didn't put up on there. They're going to have a high-end course for you. And guys, if the thing is, they use all this as the shiny object syndrome to attract you in, like, oh my God, I want to be just like that person. And then you get there and there's no substance. The course sucks. You have no idea what's going on. You have mostly fake testimonials with like first names and last initials. And that's the end of the game, guys. In fact, I'm sorry if like a 20-year-old, some kid's teaching you the business and this is the technique they're going to draw you in. If you pay them your money, you deserve the pain that's coming to you, which is 90% of the people doing this business. Now, age is not a determination of someone's skill set or what they're going to do, but the probability of a 21 to 26-year-old kid offering. And I know what you guys are saying, my son started out at 16 and he did it. He showed all his HUDs. He does it. He flips real estate to this day. I proved it up and down. And then this is what we do. And still, he has the skill set to work with me to do it. But when you do this business and you never show your business, you never show your revenue, you never show statements, you never show HUDs, I just don't know why people attract to that. So you got to keep that in mind. So first step to wholesaling, after you go to freewholesaling.com, marketing, marketing, marketing. You have to master marketing. If you try to skip this section, pain trains coming your way. There's no way around this. In fact, the way we've set up the education for wholesaling is you have to master marketing first. If you do it any other way, it doesn't work. It's like skipping basic mathematics to jump to algebra or calculus. It's not going to make sense. In fact, if you don't master how to market to motivated sellers, no matter what else you do in acquisitions or dispositions, it's not going to matter. Most people, here's the secret in wholesaling, most people try to graze by marketing because they think it's a little bit too much work, a little too complicated. And by you taking that path, you're guaranteeing your failure in wholesaling. In fact, I was so good at marketing and wholesaling, I was terrible at acquisitions. Honestly, if they didn't roll over and sign the contract, I didn't know what to do. And dispositions, I didn't even do it. I just JV'd with everyone my first year and a half. But I did more deals than most people out there because I mastered the marketing piece. Now, if I tried it the other way around, I tried to master dispositions and the perfect acquisition strategy, I would have had no leads to even try that on. So do you understand what I'm saying is if you don't get the marketing dialed in first and you have to 10x it, whatever you're doing now, you have to 10x it because you're pushing a boulder uphill with no momentum. And you have to get that first roll and you got to get some momentum going with it. I can't stress this enough. If you don't master marketing, everything else is a waste of time. There's only 3 phases to wholesaling: marketing, acquisitions, dispositions. There's no other way. I didn't say novations. I didn't say use this special lawyer trick. Wholesaling is a 3-step operation: marketing, acquisitions, dispositions. You want to argue with me about it? Give me a shot on it. I'm here to tell you that is the only way to do it. Now, once you master marketing, the next thing we're going to teach you is how to be a list ninja. You have got to learn how to build a list of prospects. Nobody, and I mean nobody's ever been successful in wholesaling without a prospect list. I'm just going to give you a quick crash course, but remember, all this is in freewholesaling.com. Remember, I'm jumping into your 18-year-old self. If you're even close to that age, pay attention to me because I've just jumped back in the time and I've jumped in your head, and you can either take this advice or you can go out and learn it the hard way on your own. This is the truth. Lists are everything. If you don't have the right list, look at your list as kind of like a map. And so here are all the places that you want to go, and that's where you need to be. Or look at it as your suspects. If you're trying to find out, who are the 5 motivated sellers, I'm going to have a list of probably 1,000 people. So it's not like you get a list of 50 people and half of them are motivated. It never works out that way. And a lot of people sell courses that tell you to do that way. I'm just telling you that is not the way to do it. So once you understand that you have to master marketing, you have to build incredible lists. And at freewholesaling.com, me and Zach teach you every list you need to get started out with. Not just any old list, because people get really specialized in these lists. They talk about stack listing, they talk about using AI. Forget that crap in the beginning. You have got to build the fundamentals. The only way to be good at wholesaling is you have to learn the fundamentals. Did you think Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, any of these people, Dwayne Wade, because I'm a Miami fan, they had to learn the fundamentals of basketball before they got all high tech. And I'm talking about dribbling, passing, assist, and just free throws over and over and over again. Without the fundamentals, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. You have to match talent with putting in the work. Because if you don't put in the work, it doesn't matter how good you are. Nobody wants to work with you. And that's the bottom line. So the best lists we teach you in the beginning are government lists. Why? They're the absolutely most motivated way to find a motivated seller. If I'm a firefighter on a hilltop and I want to find a fire, do you look for the fire first? No, you look for the smoke. Because smoke is going to be indicative of where the fire is. It sends up signals. Government lists are no different. Now, don't fool yourself in thinking they're free. They're going to be super easy. That is the farthest thing from the truth. In fact, I'm here to tell you that they are hard. You got to earn them, man. Like the probate one's a little bit more challenging. The water shutoff, the code violation, the fire damage properties, they all go hand in hand. Now, the harder you have to work to get the list, usually the better off you are. And I'm thinking like, well, that doesn't make sense, Rick. It makes perfect sense because less people have availability to it. It is your competitive edge. Why does every guru overlook government lists? Because there's no way to make money off of it. I don't care. I make a ton of money off government lists. I make them out of my own business. I do JVs with you guys, and I'm here to tell you government list is where it works. Highest motivation. Why not let the government do some work and give you a list full of smoke, and then you can go find the fire? My favorite ones, if I was 18, I would go directly after code violations, pre-foreclosures, and I would do tax delinquencies and probably probates. Probates last because it takes a little bit more skill set to do it. So those 4, replay this video. It's live. Don't worry. We're in 2024. This is live. You know how I know it's live? It's 5:57 p.m. Anyways, so once we have our government list, I'm going to add one more list on there that's super easy that any of you can do. Driving for dollars. No, I don't have a course for it. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I got an 8-minute video and I show you how I drive around with it. And then I also have a video where me and Zach drive around and show you deals we're actually working on. And all you do is go look for ugly houses. That's the course. Give me $3,000. You're all said and done. I'm kidding. Ugly houses, common sense, overgrown landscaping, boarded up windows, blue tarps on roof, etc., etc. When they look vacant, there's usually a reason. Nobody lets their house get that way on purpose. There is usually some sort of issue in the family. Our job is to help people. End of story. And that's how we do it. That's the best way to do it. So go over to freewholesaling.com if you want to learn how to do that. And then we also teach you how to take your government list and do one step extra, which is reverse driving for dollars, which is simply driving around putting sticky notes on doors. I like to do code violations, tax delinquencies, and pre-foreclosures on this strategy. In that exact order, I'm telling you, it works because people get curious when they see a note. The note's simple. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I'll show you how to do it in grave detail. But people cannot resist calling back on those notes. And it's just, hey, listen, I got a quick question about your property, Rick, and the phone number. You just vary the text up. You can do a stamp. You can do all sorts of things. But it does take a little bit of time to go out and organize your list. But once you get it down, you can go out there and do it. And this really doesn't cost you any money, guys. It's going to cost you time. But remember, we're looking to get your first wholesale deal with us, no matter what age you are. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to do massive networking. So what I'm going to do, guys, right now is I'm going to put up, if you guys want to jump on and do well, hold on. I don't have my glasses on today, so bear with me. If you want to jump on a one-on-one, I just put it in the comment. First come, first serve. I forgot to do that earlier. Sorry. Massive networking. Listen, when you're 18, you don't have the right contacts. Number one, most of your contacts are of a friend nature. And keep in mind, keep it. It's fine. but they're not going to help you in wholesaling, most likely not going to help you in real estate. You've got to go out and build your Rolodex. Now, if I went back when I was 18 and did what I'm telling you to do now, God only knows what would happen. In about a year, you will have an incredible contact list. It's going to suck the first few months. I'm not going to lie to you. No one's going to give you credit. You're going to look foolish. You're going to feel wildly uncomfortable. This is what you need to do. In fact, if somebody grabbed me when I was 18 and said, Rick, you just need to go out there and expose yourself to the real estate world, I would have been so happy. So in my early 30s, I tried to make up for this and do it double time. I'm telling you, go out. Networking has a compounding effect. You're going to find other people. Keep in mind, you talk to 10 people, maybe one is good for you. That's just the rule of average. You need to find people that are going to go out there and grind wholesaling just like you do, or people that are going to help you out with it. Lenders, cash buyers, people you can JV with, realtors that want to work with investors. And every 10 realtors I meet, I'm lucky to get like one that will even like comprehend what I'm doing. So let me give you ideas of what I talk about massive networking. RIAs. It's just a group in your local area. It stands for Real Estate Investor Associations. I used to own one. It was one of my best lead sources, but honestly, it's how I got the best contacts for my area. Everybody knew me. Everybody knew what I did. So go out to your local RIAs and just volunteer to help out with them. It's not going to cost you a dime. Get around people. Yes, you're going to have a lot of gurus, a lot of scammers out there. But if you understand how to sort these people already, which I've already taught you how to do, then you understand when the scammer is going to come up. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, when someone's scamming you, you get that weird feeling. It almost sounds too good to be true. Listen to your gut. It's usually right. Now, don't go buy every package that's sold at these. Typically, people come in for a day or two. They sell a package. They split it with the event organizer, and then you'll never see them again. So I don't want you to waste your money. But before the meeting and after the meeting, some of the best networking you can ever do. Honestly, I've created some of my best allies, some of my best friends. From that, are we at different levels of wholesaling? Absolutely. Some are still in the basic stages, and there's some even more advanced than me. And that's what I love about this business. So everybody loves who has a good journey. So I've been going to RIAs for over 21 years now, and I attribute a lot of my success to them. I like RIAs. I like to network with people. Now, I made a lot of bad connections at RIAs, and I had to learn the hard way of doing partnerships with people that never wanted to pay me. I bought a lot of programs that were complete trash. And unless I can see the program beforehand, I will never give someone a dime again. And most scammers will never show you their program until you pay them, because by the time you look at it, you would never pay them anyways. That's why me and Zach just give it away for free, because I just don't understand. Like once you pay them, ask for your money back, they're like, you can never find them again. Next one is JVs, just short for joint ventures. The best way to find good JV partners is start out with your RIAs, then work out to your social media. Facebook, Wholesaling Houseless for Real, the largest wholesaling group just on Facebook alone. You got over 100, just about 140,000 people there. And keep in mind, you have to provide value on there. If you just go on there and say, give me all your cash buyers, you will be deleted, and you deserve it. End of story. If you're not going to provide value to our community, you're just going to take, we don't want you there. End of story. Bottom line, guys, is you're going to have to put the work in. And this is where most people screw up wholesaling. Everybody falls in love with the end journey. Everybody loves where me and Zach are, but nobody wanted to come along the way. In fact, my first 4 or 5 years, it wasn't very sexy. Honestly, how I survived my first 2 years was interesting. And then years 2 through 5, I was completely unrecognizable, and there were some of my favorite years of wholesaling because I had to show up to work every day. Nothing was ever given to me, and if I didn't make money, my family would suffer. Now, around year 7, people started to do, this guy knows what he's doing. He just deal after deal. I've JV'd 20 deals with him here. He's done 30 with this guy, and I just got my own reputation. Here's the differences. I created my reputation. I didn't figure it out till I was 33. So if you're 18, I'm waking you up right now. You have a massive head start. I know you think it's going to be hard, but honestly, go get a job and park your butt there for 12 years. I will show you pain and what's really hard. So whatever, you're going to struggle the first few years. Get over it. Imagine anything in life that's worthwhile that you don't have to struggle for. God designed the struggle to be real. So you've got to understand, you're going to have to put the work in. If you're not going to put the work in, go find the guy with the Lambo, go find the guy with the leased real estate, and go find the guy or gal with the fancy watches, because they make all their money on their course sales from you. They don't do it from real estate. They don't do it from any other type of business. That's why they have to have a high ticket sale. It's not everybody, but a majority of the real, you show me anyone from the age 18 to 28, and all they do is show me a car, fancy real estate, and a watch. I guarantee they're going to have a high-end course. And if you dig deep enough in the comments, a majority of the comments, I got scammed, it's BS. The comments get deleted. They eventually get buried. After a while, you can only lie so long. The lies will always catch up with you, especially in wholesaling. Just watch out for them, because there is this TikTok trend coming out the door. I think it's ridiculous, and you guys got to pay attention. And that's where you have to be careful with it. So instead of like fearing the work and go, oh my God, I got to put in so much work, why don't you just embrace the journey? In fact, I tell you guys this all the time. If you pay somebody $100,000 to learn this business, or you get it from free from me and Zach, here's the one common denominator. You're going to have to go on a journey. And a lot of people think they can buy their way past the journey. It's impossible. I've never seen anybody do it in wholesaling. I've never seen anybody like not struggle in wholesaling make it. Like, you're going to go through a struggle. So some people think they can buy their way through the struggle. Now, if you get the education, it will help navigate the landmines that are in there, but you're still going to deal with bad people. You're going to deal with unscrupulous people. And I want you to understand that. If you know it going into it, it's much easier. But a lot of times people hand over $5, $10,000, whatever their last dollar, and they assume that is going to protect them from the landmine. In fact, you just gave the wolf your biggest chunk of your asset, and you're going to find out on the backside there's not much behind it. That's why it's got such a big ticket price on them. If they're so smart, why wouldn't they just partner up with you on a deal? That's what I would do. Heck, that's what me and Zach do. It's brilliant. Teach the strategies that I've learned. You do the work, and the ones that do want to do the work and bring us deals and partner up with us, you can earn and learn at the same time. It's not for everyone, I get it. I'm not looking to partner with people that are lazy. But if you truly want to make money in this business, that's how you do it. But every guru will tell you, I need X amount of dollars up front so I know you're in it. But the reality, when you do it, the risk is on you then, not on the guru. And that's why you have such a massive 95% failure ratio in that business. So you've got to understand that. So the last part I do, and I'm mostly going to do this from the RIA. This is a strategy that paid me huge dividends in my first 2 years. Go to the RIAs, sort through the crap. And what I mean, there's going to be a lot of crap. People talk about being big cash buyers. The ones that don't talk about being cash buyers, but everybody tells you he or she's a big cash buyer, believe them. Believe them. They are the ones that you want to do. Now, good cash buyers only want to buy from people that are trustworthy, so they're going to vet you. So I always go to any type of networking event from the side is, what can I do to help you out? But the reality is, most people that go to these networking events, especially RIAs, they're like, give me your cash buyers, give me your cash buyers. Do you have any deals? Do you have any deals? And all they want to do is take from you. So do it the complete opposite. Ask, tell me a little bit about your business. How can I help you with your business? That's it. And if you're brand new to the business, they go, listen, Rick, if you can bring me like 5 leads, I will sit and work with the leads and I'll split them with you. I go, listen, as long as you'll put it in writing, I'll go out and bust my butt. And if I can earn the privilege of working you by bringing you hot leads, then that's what I'm going to do. But you better go get them. Because if you don't come back with them, what are you going to tell them next month, him or her? So I used to love people that bring me leads, because I would sit down and I would spend time with them. I would have a cup of coffee. I would have lunch with them. Or I'd spend like an hour or two after the RIA meeting. And those are the people I forged the best relationships. I actually had one guy buy my first 32 properties from me. God knows I didn't know what I was doing, but I kept bringing leads. And after a while, I started selling him leads. And then actually I worked with him for over 7 years. And I had a really solid cash buyers list because people knew I was trustworthy and I would bring them leads. So the problem is, most of these RIA meetings is people just talk. Everybody wants to talk about doing wholesaling, but very few people will actually do it. So if you understand that, it goes a long way. If I'm 18, I've got to cut myself. So you have a decision. You can portray what your reputation is going to be by false images, by trying to keep up with the Jones, fancy cars that will get you nowhere, leased real estate, which you look like an idiot shooting it over and over. And then you put on a really high-end watch and you hold your arm like this because you think that makes you successful. That just says to the world, the more you have to tell the world you're rich, the more I know you're broke. Listen, guys, simple shirt, nothing fancy here. This is just who I am. It doesn't, and the thing is, if you're going to judge a book by its cover, by what they're wearing, you're an idiot. Like, go look at some of the simplest people in the world. When you see Elon Musk pull up somewhere, he's just in a simple black t-shirt, nothing super fancy. Now, we all know where he came from, but he created his reputation. He didn't try to portray it. And that's what I see a lot of what's going on now. You can't be peacocking in your early 20s and telling everyone how rich you are. You actually have to do it. So look for the doers as opposed to the sayers, and it will help you out in real estate. I got sucked in so many times by so many fake people in real estate because they drove a nice car. They had like a really nice house that I thought was theirs, or they showed me this impressive watch, which blew me away. None of that's going to help you get real estate, and they understand. Go out and find a good cash partner. That is worth its weight in gold. And I will tell you, I'm going to leave you with one of the last things you have to understand that is huge in wholesaling. And this is often overlooked. And I can tell all the time. I can tell who practices their craft and who doesn't. Now, practice is imperative in your first 2 years. It is your homework. So when people says, hey, Rick, I need help, I can't get a deal closed, I said, great. Why don't we just role play? And all of a sudden they get all sweaty and nervous and like, I'm not normally like this. I'm like, this is exactly how you are. Because this is how it works with the seller. If you think you're nervous in front of me or Zach or an audience, wait till you're in front of a seller. If you get caught and you feel nervous presenting, just in a simple role play, it means you're not prepared. So get rid of it, get it over with. Go bug your mom, your dad, your sister, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, and just practice. Practice in front of a mirror. Write it out a few times, then practice it. Then you have to work on your verbiage, and you have to get rid of the ums and the, well, let me think about it. And you got to get rid of your eye rolls, and then you got to learn to make eye contact. And so the only way you learn this is through repetition. But if you're going to practice on your motivated sellers that you spent all that time and energy getting them driving for dollars or whatever government list you got them from, then you're going to be learned a real lesson. Because our business, here's the secret, it is not about sales. It is completely about guiding people. Once I had do this marketing, which is so specialized, and I find 5 or 6 motivated sellers, all I have to do is guide them in. But if you don't know how to guide them in and you're going to oversell them, they're going to see through you like a used car salesman. Because I know I'm the best fit for all my sellers. I know I can solve their problem. I know I can give them a solution. The question is, are you going to rehearse it? I've rehearsed it hundreds, thousands of times, but most of you have only done it less than 100. And it shows every time you do it. It is not about sales. It is about practice. Think about Jordan, Kobe, Dan Marino, all these specialized people. They just practice all day long. Did you know Kobe Bryant shows up 4 hours before a game starts, even before all the other players, and he goes through every part of his game and he warms up sometimes like 500-600 shots, but nobody's there to film it. Why? Because that's what the best do. And at 18, you got nothing but time. I wish somebody took me back and just said, listen, Rick, just practice for 2 years while you screw up. Practice, screw up, practice, screw up. So when you jump on one of these live, I would love to do a role play with anybody who wants to do it on here. That's how you learn. And that's how you get feedback. But imagine if you showed up to a test, say in school, you didn't study one thing, you didn't practice anything. Well, how do you think you do on the test? You'd probably fail it. So it's the same thing as you need to be prepared at any situation at any time, because wholesaling is not about a test. I have no idea when the customer is going to pop up. I have no idea how much money it is, and I have no idea of what their level of expertise, and they're relying on me. And the only way to appear confident in wholesaling is become confident. Here's the secret to becoming confident. You have to practice. I can tell you the first 10 appointments I did were so beyond painful, and I didn't practice a whole lot. So I'm just telling you, I'm a hypocrite. But if I practiced earlier, I would have done so much better, and I would have made that much money, and I would have gotten through wholesaling. I would have become so much more efficient so much sooner. So practice, 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 practice. And when you're done practicing, practice it again. This should be your mantra every day. Just practice. There's only 6 objections you're going to get in wholesaling. And if you don't know what they are, you need to figure them out. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Let me help you out with it. And here's my closing statement on this. Think marathon wholesaler. So if we talked about the shiny object syndrome, when someone's running a sprint versus a marathon, what does the marathon do? They look forward and they race against their own personal best time. That's the only person you got to beat. A sprinter is constantly comparing everyone around them, and that's how gurus suck you in. You want to do 10 deals a month? Let me show you my system. It's guaranteed results and you'll get a lifetime membership. Guys, it's called marketing for a reason. If it sounds too good to be true, ask yourself. So if a marathon runner was offered a training on how to cut his or her race time by half, anyone who ever ran a marathon would know it's complete BS. But the people that haven't run the marathon, they would sign up before they even did the marathon race because you're always looking for the easy way out. Here's how you run a marathon. You put the work in, you shave off 5 or 10 seconds every time you run, and you run in a couple mile sprints, and that's how you do it. Here's a little secret. For a marathon trainer, they only run 8 to 10 miles to train for them because it gets repetitious and you've got to learn how to pace your intervals. So I've only done a half marathon. I've never done a full marathon. But the reality is if they know how to do it and they don't fall for these scams, like that means they're experienced. They know what they're doing. Once you become experienced in wholesaling, you realize, I can't believe I went through that minefield of like all these courses sold out there. You're going to have to do the journey. I want you to think like a marathon. You got to go through some short-term pains to get long-term gains. And when you talk about these gurus who sell you these ridiculous courses, all they do is talk about instant gratification. It does not exist in wholesaling. And if you understand that at the rightful age of 18 and understand you go through the journey. And by the way, guys, some people make the journey sound painful. To make 70, 80, or 100K and having nobody else support you and you determine your financial success is amazing. Because once you get that skill set, it's actually a fun journey. I'm just telling you to do it a different way. I would look at if your friends just go out and party and they all got regular jobs, do the exact opposite they do. You won't be popular, but in 2 years, you will be the go-to guy or gal in your group. I guarantee it. I know I am. I took a longer journey than most. I know that's how my son thought, and he did it. He was told, you're missing out on the best years of college. Those are the greatest years of your life. You've got to be kidding. He looks back like, what a joke. I lived on ramen noodles, and all people do is party, drink, and all that.